A little while back, we took a look at the Apos Community Merlin and Gremlin DAC and Amp, a pair of competitively priced units with unique looks and impressive specs. Well, this time, Apos sent over their Druid R2R DAC, which exists as an alternative to the Merlin. Now, all of that sounds great, but what does that mean sound-wise? Is this R2R DAC worth considering over a more traditional DAC? Don't forget to like, comment, and ring the bell down below for more reviews like this one coming real soon. Alright, let's go. Let's start out with the contents. The box itself looks very similar to the Apos Merlin and Gremlin's boxes. Minimalistic design with a little bit of specs on it. Open the box and you'll see the holy text in front of you. I feel like it's tradition. Let me read a bit of it. Ere word was given breath, ere meaning took form, there was but tone. A soundless murmur that quickened the void and set the heavens turning. From that boundless note came light and wind and the slow pulse of the sea. And all the world was tuned to its measure. But the ages have passed, the forests have thinned, the stars have grown distant, and men have forgotten the pitch of creation. All but the Druid. I am available for voiceover work, by the way. Hit me up using my email in the channel's info. Now back to unboxing. Lift the thin foam cover and you'll see the Druid in all of its glory. Beautiful and proudly exposed, much like an ex of mine. Then right at the bottom, within that big black box, we get the power supply, the wall plug, the replacement op-amp steps, the op-amp pliers, and a male 3.5mm to left and right female dual 3.5mm Y splitter. That was quite a sentence. So they definitely equip you with everything you're gonna need to help you get started on this. Except for maybe one thing. More on that later. Now taking a look at the build itself, the top and bottom slabs forming the outside of the unit are made of acrylic, and the pillars holding the sandwich together are made of metal. Within it, you get the entire DAC board itself. The one switch here feels pretty solid. Take a quick listen here. Now, a bit of a complaint here. I'm sure this occurs within most, if not all, DACs out there, but because this one is exposed, it's a lot easier to see that the capacitors are not perfectly aligned. You may even consider them to be slanted. Thankfully, this doesn't affect performance or reliability in any way. It's just a bit of an OCD person's nightmare. Something to keep in mind. Now, quite a bit to go over on the tech side of things. Right next to the power switch, you'll notice a red jumper. By default, it'll come with the 2 pins on the left-hand side connected. By swapping this out to the 2 pins on the right-hand side, you can turn on the bottom green LEDs and add a little bit of color to your setup. Taking a look at the back, you'll see that the single-ended output is a 3.5mm port. The XLR balanced outputs are pretty simple and straightforward, not much to mention there. You do get a USB-C port for data output, which, thank you for not cheaping out, Apos. I really don't think anything less than USB-C in 2026 is acceptable, so this is great to see. And last but not least, the power port. Now, I did mention this is an R2R ladder DAC, so the op-amps are swappable and removable using the included pliers. You can fiddle with these to affect the overall sound signature of the DAC if you feel like it. So without a doubt, this DAC is special, but how does that affect the sound? For the following tests, I'll be listening to the Apos Druid through the Gremlin and swapping over to the Merlin using my Sennheiser HD600s and HiFiMAN Arya Stealth in balance mode for the sake of variety. No EQ will be used for this whatsoever. Now, let's jump right in. Kicking things off with the HD600s, not a whole lot of difference in the bass response at all. In the sub bass, I did notice that the Druid makes the texture of the bass a little woolier compared to the slightly more tight and textured response of the Merlin. No difference in terms of volume or presence though. With bass guitars, the Druid does bring them forward just a teensy bit more than the Merlin. However, this comes at the cost of sounding a little woolier as well. In my opinion, not a worthwhile trade-off. I did notice a bit of a distinction in a particular track though. Listen to when the bass guitar begins in Friction by Cafuné at the 12-second mark. The Druid brings that bass guitar forward by just a bit, but it also helps bring out those like boingy doingy sounds when the strings are plucked. It's not slapping, it's it's something else. For this track, it is absolutely a notable detail that I enjoy being able to perceive a little more. Drums in general sound pretty much the same across both DACs. Now, kick drums specifically are brought out a little more on the Merlin by comparison. You can hear them and feel the slap just a little bit more. Moving over to the mids, female vocals get a pretty notable improvement on the Druid. They don't gain or lose presence nor detail. They just get an extra little layer of polish, making them sound more natural and smooth. Now, a similar thing happens to the cellos, though it's not all positive here. Cellos come across as slightly smoother and more natural sounding on the Druid, but in exchange, that extra little layer of polish makes them lose a small hint of those tiny little details like, the sounds of the fingers leaving the strings with pizzicato or the bow landing on the string for arco. They're still there, just not as defined and in your face. Brass instruments also go through a bit of a change with the Druid, though it's a little hard for me to put into words. The Druid makes brass instruments lose a hair of energy, just a hair. I don't see it as a good thing or a bad thing. I can't say either one sounds noticeably more natural than the other, so take that as you will. Electric guitars go through a very subtle change with the Druid. With that extra little layer of polish, I found that sometimes it's harder to hear the actual strumming of notes. Repetitive notes become more of a straight, continuous note rather than the distinct interruption of the strum in between each note. Acoustic guitars are negatively affected by the Druid's actions, unfortunately. The timbre of the instruments do sound ever so slightly more natural, but you lose quite a bit of the finer details in the scatting of the strings and the sound of fingers traveling on the strings. Now let's look at the treble. That slight veil we were discussing in the mids makes a return, and I'm not so sure I'm happy about that. Generally speaking, the Druid makes the treble response a little darker. This does bring down the consonant region by just a hair, so if sibilance is something you struggle with, this may be a benefit for you. Instruments in the treble region lose just a sliver of energy and heat in their performance and sound a little more laid back. This is especially apparent with cymbals and hi-hats. They lose quite a bit of energy and presence, but in exchange, you get a smoother, less silvery sound. Thankfully, once again, it does not impact sound quality. Similar things happen with airy noises in the highest parts of the treble. They sound a bit more distant and softer, but they don't disappear either. The Druid doesn't nuke them, it just gives them a bit of a chill pill. Now, looking into the soundstage, the Druid actually pulls it in by a bit and makes it a little more intimate. If you have narrow headphones like the HD600, this may not be the best result for you. As for imaging, it's generally unaffected. I couldn't really hear any differences between the two except for, instruments moving shorter distances due to the slightly narrower soundstage. Now, jumping into the Arya stealths, sub-bass has more heft but loses a hair of clarity. Unless you're looking for the absolutely most detailed response, I think this trade-off can be pretty worthwhile if you really want that sub-bass rumble without applying any sort of EQ. A similar thing happens with electronic bass notes. It feels like there's an extra bundle of wool, giving the response a touch of extra presence, but adding that bit of haziness to the sound, comparatively speaking. In my opinion, it's not really necessary or positive change per se, but if you really want that extra warmth down there, then hey, be my guest. Now my tone starts to change with the bass guitars. Bass guitars get a noticeable push forward and improve quite a bit texture-wise. While I definitely appreciate the extra growl, the increase isn't really necessary. Bass guitars go from being one step behind the instruments to being right in line with them. Again, it doesn't make them sound too close, but it's not necessarily an improvement. Mid-bass is definitely a bit of a downgrade on the Arya stealths. You don't gain or lose presence whatsoever, but you do lose a bit of that definition with the Druid. In the Hammer by Deathclock, the section between the 26-second mark and 53-second mark becomes more of a constant hum, as opposed to the slight chops in between caused by the strums of the electric and bass guitars. Drums in general keep the same timbre, more or less, but The lower end of the sound that reverberates is a bit more present on the Druid. I will say it does make for a bit more engaging experience, albeit, less accurate. Now, kick drums specifically do pop a little more when using the Druid. That, for me at least, is a big plus. It's a pretty big plus. Now, jumping into the mids, female vocals get the same treatment as with the HD600s. The Druid gives you a more lush and polished experience, except this time it doesn't really take away from those finer details. An overall plus, if you ask me. Cellos, same story as the HD600s. That extra layer of polish gives you an ever so slight bit of lushness in the sound, but equally takes away from those finer little details. Now, this is not a trade-off that I am happy with. Brass instruments get that little bit of extra polish to them as well, giving them a slightly more relaxed sound. This time though, they get a little closer to being more natural, so the change is welcome here. Electric guitars also get that veil treatment, which doesn't affect their presence, but does make them lose a tiny bit of energy. No changes to the detail though. Acoustic guitars, same thing. The Druid makes them sound more natural, but costs you the tiniest amount of detail. In this case specifically, it's more of a personal preference on whether you want to squeeze out every last drop of detail or make them sound as natural as possible. Let's jump into the treble now. The Druid helps eliminate a good 60% of the metallic timbre these have in the treble. The consonant region becomes noticeably less sibilant, though still nowhere near neutral or dark. Same thing happens with the cymbals and hi-hats. Their metallic timbre is reduced by about half, and they take one step back. While I think this is a welcome improvement for most people, and it is in fact closer to neutral, I'm personally someone who likes an extra bit of energy right here, so for me, it's not a downside, but not a benefit either. The airy noises and sound effects right at the edge of the treble extension does get pulled back by about half a step, but in exchange, the Druid cleans it up quite a bit so it sounds a little more refined. It's kind of like the Druid cuts away at the fat, so you get more of the beef itself. Oh, generally a good thing. Soundstage width remains mostly the same, no big changes here. As for imaging, same thing. You can expect the same experience across both of these, regardless of which you choose. So, in the end, how do we feel about the Apos Druid R2R DAC? It's honestly a really solid sounding device. If you've been looking into climbing the R2R ladder and wanted to start out small, you're basically looking at either the Apos Druid or the FiiO K11 R2R. While the K11 is an awesome unit too, the Druid does have an upper hand with the interchangeable op amps, which can alter the overall sound signature drastically depending on your configuration. Of course, it really depends on your headphones and your musical preferences, yada yada, but what this DAC says is the world is a vampire. I mean, the world is your oyster. And yet despite all of that, I'm still a rat in a cage. Now, I wouldn't make an R2R DAC a primary DAC. I'd have a, traditional DAC as my reference point, my primary, but then I'd bust out the R2R DAC as a sort of wild card for certain headphones, kind of like how you would use a tube amp. Now, in our specific examples, I'd use it on the Arya Stealth if I were looking for a more laid-back sound from them. On the other hand, I would not use this on my HD600s. I think it has overall a bit of a negative effect on it. But either way, that's what trial and error is for. You gotta give it a shot. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something useful out of this, and I will see you in the next review. Okay, ciao.